Hello, Daniel here. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel. If you enjoy anything to do with heritage railways, train spotting, model railways, miniature railways, please give this channel a subscribe and hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss a video. I appreciate all the love and support you've all been showing me. I really do. Thank you so much. I'm making this video because I've been asked to do a feature. So on Easter Sunday, my dad, my granddad and I had the day off, so we all went down to the East Somerset Railway again, except this one was a bit special because the miniature railway was open and they were hosting a miniature railway gala. So they had all sorts of different visiting engines, and it was fun. They had like all sorts of trains going. I believe on the Saturday they had a little barbecue. I was working that day, but they were running it for the whole weekend, so no issues there, honestly. And they've actually extended a line. They've actually opened up an extension to the line a bit further past the engine shed, I believe. It does stop at around a orange line because obviously they're still doing works on the line. It's a ongoing project, and I think honestly, it's amazing that there's so much passion for them to continue their project. And again, you could see an amazing load of different models running up and down the track. Even the steam locomotive I saw last year was back. And it was nice to see everyone's faces light up. And I really enjoyed myself. Of course, it was nice to see 4555 running that day, pulling the passenger services on the standard gauge. So I've been asked to highlight, standing next to the Sentinel here, this very unique model that one of the volunteers, who is a friend of my dad's, actually was building. It's a like-for-like replica of an old, I believe to be a type of rail hopper that was used for works. Specifically in the 1930s and 40s, typically would be used for, doing sewage works along the line, maybe used on sites like quarries and building sites, because the thing is, narrow gauge or smaller gauges tend to be a lot easier access for a lot of these sites, again, used probably for mining, that sort of thing. And what's interesting is that actually the chassis actually came from the Linton and Barnstable Railway. So that was quite interesting because those are two totally different gauges. The Linton and Barnstable Railway narrow gauge is a 2-foot gauge, and the miniature railway at Cranmore is 7¼ inch. So yeah, it looks like it's floating on the tracks, but if you look underneath the chassis, there's actually been some modifications to ensure that it sits on the tracks. Obviously, I believe it was put on a special bogie, and that's how he was able to get it to run along the track. And the interesting thing is, there's no more surviving rail hoppers like these left. They were all cut up and scrapped after the 30s and 40s. So this volunteer is working on a replica of this one. So this replica model actually runs on petrol power. In fact, a lot of the models at the railway run on petrol power, or some might be like RC, or obviously a couple of steam. Probably because petrol is a lot more accessible, which makes it easier for them to be able to get it to run. So this one is petrol. I believe he said it was built from a 1927 Sturmey Archer motorcycle engine. However, the hydrostatic unit only works one way, because the plan is, because this volunteer's plan is to use this replica to be able to help finish off the ballasting and the work along the lines, just to make the job easier for them, which I think is a really good idea. But because it can only go one way, because the unit was only used in Ford in a lawnmower, that's what he told us, we had a good chuckle about that.
Yesterday we tried towing it up and down the track to free it up,
Right.
and it'll tow one way but it won't tow the other.
Right.
So the hydrostatic unit in it, which is your forward and reverse,
Right.
has only ever been used in forward because it was on the lawnmower.
Right.
He wasn't able to get it to run either way, so I imagine he's making some modifications to it to be able to finish off his project and, in essence, the model railway. Obviously, he brought it down for the day because it wasn't actually working, but he did give me a good view of all sides. Honestly, it was quite unique. And it's cool to see people working on their own little projects. And I think it may not be the most glamorous or pretty thing, but again, what may be hard-working doesn't always have to be glamorous. Take the Class 08s or 09s, for example. They don't look like, picturesque steam locomotives or the famous Class 43 high-speed trains, but they get the job done. And I think that's the point here. And if he does end up finishing the project, and I'm sure he will, because he's a very, very dedicated person, honestly, I see this being not only a very vital part of their miniature railway, but an amazing piece of railway history. Because I can see a lot more information coming up about it whilst we find out more. And again, I love just seeing people work on their own models. Sometimes I wish I had the money to be able to buy a 7¼ inch little train to take up and down. That'd be fun. But who knows? Maybe someone in the future will come into something. Maybe I could build something. I just have to wait and see. But no, I wish this volunteer good luck in finishing his project, and I hope you guys found this somewhat informative. I didn't know how to go about making this, to be honest. I didn't want this to be a whole sort of rip-off thing of Laurie Goes Loco or anything, but hopefully I've done his project justice. Hopefully you've all taken something from this, and hopefully you'll enjoy the extra footage I'm going to show soon of the miniature railway and Cranmore, just to finish off this video. And again, if you like this video, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell icon, and again, if you want to add your own piece on this, or maybe something similar, leave a comment and let me know. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all down the line.